It really seems that nowadays these subcompact CUVs like Hyundai's own Kona, Honda's HR-V, and Toyota's Corolla Cross are really permeating the market, with more and more entries coming to this segment what seems like almost every month. Now, with this rapidly growing segment becoming hotter and hotter, Hyundai has given us the second generation of their Kona, which is supposed to be more practical, more comfortable, more feature-packed, and most importantly, still just as good of a value. So today, let's take a look at this perplexing-looking little crossover, the 2024 Hyundai Kona. As you can see, the new Kona really makes itself known. Whether it's good or bad, it's up to you, but Hyundai actually designed the Kona at first to be an EV, and then they decided to put the engines from the last generation Kona in this Kona. And this one happens to be a 2024 Kona Limited with the 1.6 turbo, H-Track all-wheel drive, and it's painted in Hyundai's denim blue pearl. Reminds me of a Volvo color. The MSRP of this fully optioned Kona Limited is just under $35,000. And if $35,000 sounds like a lot of money for a Hyundai Kona, Hyundai does offer 3 other trim levels aside from the Limited, starting at the SE, which is $24,000 for the 2-liter front-wheel drive model. Then they have the SEL, then the N-Line, which is not the same as the Kona N. You do get the turbo engine, but it's the same engine as this one. Only 190 horsepower. It's not like the crazy Kona N of the last generation. Hyundai hasn't said anything about a Kona N just yet. If you want the turbo engine, but not the sporty styling, Hyundai does offer the Kona Limited like this one that starts at $31,000 for a front-wheel drive one, but the price quickly goes up if you want all-wheel drive because that's a $1,500 option. Like I said, Hyundai first designed this thing to be an electric car. That's why it looks weird, it has no face. But in terms of gas Konas, you could either get a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that makes under 150 horsepower, or you could get the engine that comes in the, well, I was gonna say the engine that the kids like, but I mean, I guess you could say the kids like it. So standard in the Kona N-Line and the Kona Limited is this 1.6-liter turbocharged inline 4. They use this engine in a lot of other Hyundai products. In this application, it makes 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Thankfully gone are the dual clutch automatic transmissions that Hyundai used to use. Now this uses a conventional torque converted 8-speed automatic transmission, and you could get front wheel drive as standard, or you could choose the option of Hyundai's H-Track all-wheel drive system. That does let you lock the center clutch, but it's a clutch-based system. It's not true 50-50 all-wheel drive. This powertrain gets this little guy to 60 miles an hour in just about 7.5 seconds. But in terms of mileage, I have been a little bit disappointed with this Kona. Hyundai claims 24 in the city, 29 on the highway, and a combined rating of 26. I've been only getting 22 mpg. Of course, in terms of wheel options, the base SE and SEL will have their options. The Kona N-Line will have its aggressive looking wheel. And this one, being the Kona Limited, has the more techy, futuristic looking 19-inch alloy wheel. I'm shocked these are 19s on this car. They don't even look that big. In terms of carrying things, the old Kona really struggled. You couldn't fit 4 people and their luggage in this car. But because it's a little bit longer and wider, space in the back has improved. There's a power tailgate in this Limited, but you don't have a hands-free tailgate. You have to upgrade to the Tucson to get that. But behind the second row, there's about 25.5 cubic feet of volume. Not too bad. There is a space saver, well, a donut spare tire underneath, thankfully. But if you fold that 60-40 split folding seat down, you get 63 cubic feet of volume. I really don't think that these are rated to tow, but despite my doubts, Hyundai, at least from where I've found 2 different sources. Hyundai says the Kona can tow 5,000 pounds. I don't believe that. I would say maybe safely you can tow 1,500 pounds with your Kona, but don't ever try to do 5,000 pounds. The rear seat of the Kona has also improved getting in because the car is a little bit taller, makes it nice to get in. The door closes with a nice solid thunk. It feels nice in here. For being a pretty cheap car, of course some of the materials won't feel the best, but everything looks nice, everything feels nice in here, everything that you'd mostly touch feels pretty decent. To my surprise, I'm actually pretty comfortable back here. Unlike the old Kona, the driver's seat is in my position. I'm 5'9", and I have a few inches of knee room. I can fit my feet under the seat. Legroom is really good back here. If I was 6 foot, I'd probably be pretty comfortable. Headroom is pretty decent as well. It has vastly improved compared to the old car as well. The old Kona really felt small inside. Of course, there's child latches, and then in terms of other creature comforts, there is a center armrest, which is reasonably soft. With 2 small cup holders, you could fit apple juice in there or something like that. You can also see that you have 2 air vents back here, thankfully. That's not something that you see much in this class, so I like that Hyundai thought a little bit about the rear seat passengers, more than just space. Below that, you can see 2 USB Type-C ports, so you'll have fast charging in your Kona, and in front of that, there's a bit of a storage compartment where you could put your phone. There's also map pockets behind only the passenger side seat, not the driver's seat, but that's okay. Now, we're about to drive this thing, but let's get familiar with all the things, well, the gizzards and doodads in the front seat. First of all, Hyundai has the Hyundai-shaped key fob. Looks cool, you know. I like it. It feels pretty nice to the hand, and of course, this does smart pack, so all the Hyundais do that. But because it's a smart key, you don't have to put you don't have to use a real key. You just put your foot on the brake and press the thing to go, but let's just do that. But welcome to the interior of the all-new Kona. It has greatly improved compared to the old car as well. There are things about this car that will remind you the price point that this starts in, because there's hard touch materials on the top of the door panel, and they've based the interiors of their smaller Hyundais on the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6. So if you're used to those, you won't be too far off. The steering wheel is 3-spoked and leather wrapped, and of course you can see that there is no more Hyundai logo on it. There are buttons on the wheel. The buttons on the left control some of the cruise control and some of the safety functions, and they also toggle through the information screen on the display. The buttons on the right control volume, audio, and various other Bluetooth commands. And on the back side of the steering wheel, you can see that the headlights are automatic and the wipers are not automatic on this one. I don't think you can get auto wipers on a Kona. Most importantly, the horn. Good sounding horn. At least it's not a meep meep horn. But as we look at the gauges, you can see that they're fully digital and the screen kind of blends in with the infotainment screen. There's not a lot going on in there. You don't even really have a tachometer. There are these little things that move like a tach, but you don't see the numbers. As we look at the infotainment screen, you can see it's a 12.3-inch display. It looks very nice. I mainly use it in Apple CarPlay, and you can use Android Auto as well, but you can see wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and you can use the USB Type-C ports on the bottom to charge your phone and to use CarPlay as well. The screen itself is pretty nice to use. It's touchscreen, thankfully, and Hyundai's infotainment, they've done a pretty good job. I've not had any issues with it, nothing to complain about. You can look at weather, traffic information. It has built-in navigation as well, so it's nice. I like it. But again, I mainly use Apple CarPlay. Down below that, there are hard touch buttons, thankfully, so you don't have to solely rely on the screen. There's also hard touch buttons for the climate control. Very easy and simple to use, not too much. I like that most of the everyday controls are all hard touch buttons. You can see the shifter is Ioniq styled, as you can see in the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6, but if you put the car into reverse, you have a 360 view camera as well as a backup camera, of course. There's all different types of views in here, so you can see what the front wheels are doing, the rear wheels are doing, so you better not curb your wheels in your Kona. The whole arrangement in the interior is pretty nice. I like how airy it feels. There's a nice little tray on top of the glove box which you can put your things in, but you can then make the cup holders disappear or reappear. It's very nice how Hyundai does that. The center armrest is okay. It's kind of on the hard side. The center console, it's not much of a console, but there is a reasonable amount of space in here. The seats in this Kona Limited are actually pretty nice as well. I've heard that in the Kona N line, they're a little bit less comfortable and less supportive, which is interesting. The driver's seat is an 8-way power driver's seat, and you also have 2-way lumbar, but the passenger seat is fully manual. But both the driver and passenger side seats are heated and cooled in this Limited. You also have a heated steering wheel as well. I can't forget the sunroof because it's actually kind of nice today. This has a single pane moonroof. I think if you upgrade to the Tucson, you get a pano moonroof, but do not expect a pano moonroof in your Kona. I think now we're ready to drive this. So I've been driving this Kona for a little bit under a week right now, and right off the bat, I'll say it's not a bad car at all. I have had conflicting thoughts with this car, only because of the looks, because this thing actually drives pretty nice. Hyundai made this feel like a pretty substantial little car. I'm about to hit this kind of windy road, so I'll go into sport mode. Thankfully, no one's coming. It's not too bad. It's kind of darty. It's quite fun. My keys are what's really annoying me. On tighter back roads, of course, this car is not sporty, but it's surprising. I mean, new cars just handle well, because this thing takes corners well. I can take corners at a reasonable amount of speed. The suspension is a little bit soft. I've noticed that on the highway and on some, uneven back roads like this one, you can see the body moves a little bit, but it honestly holds its own very well. Sport mode does not make this feel like a sporty car, but the steering gets a little bit tighter. The throttle is a little bit more responsive, but this engine isn't that responsive. There's a lot of turbo lag. You really have to wait for it to build boost, but it's not too bad. We're gonna go from a stop now. $60. Like, it's not bad. It got up to speed quite nicely, and it's pretty smooth in its power delivery, but if you're trying to really take off or pass someone, you'll notice that it takes a few seconds for this thing to actually do what you want it to do. But if you drive it normally and if you drive it slowly, it's totally fine. And again, I'm doing about 55 right now, and the road is there is road noise. You do notice that, but it rides nice even with these big 19-inch wheels. For the most part, the engine is quiet. It really sounds kind of bad when you're giving it a lot of throttle, but besides that, it's not too bad. I mean, it gets up to speed quickly. We're gonna get on the highway now. Really, when you wind this out to get to highway speeds, it's much better, but it doesn't sound that great when you are winding it out all the way down on the throttle. I just have to make the point clear with this 1.6, I've been a little bit underwhelmed with the MPGs, but besides that, it's not been bad. There's a slow Sequoia in front of me. Let's see if we can get around them. And again, it handles well, but with his big twin turbo V6, it's fine. Overall, I think the Kona is a pretty decent value in any trim level that you get. This Limited has all the bells and whistles that you could think of in a little car, of course. It's pretty nice. I have had no complaints with this car besides the looks. Let me know what you think about how this car looks in the comments. I'm very curious because it's just not for me. The car itself is great. It rides great. It handles really well compared to a lot of the things it competes with. Maybe not as well as the HR-V, but I would say maybe just as good. If you go for the 1.6, you get reasonable performance and okay MPGs. If you go for the 2-liter, you get lackluster performance. So if you're looking at the Kona and you like how it looks, I would say it's definitely something to consider, especially when it's new because of that 100,000 mile warranty. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this in-depth look at the new Hyundai Kona, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye peeps.